Hi, I'm Todd Jones. I'm the host of the podcast Press Box Access.
Check out this clip from my conversation with Charles Pierce. Where was Charlie when the ball scooted through Bill Buckner's legs and Shea Stadium erupted on that memorable October night? All right, well, let's
Um,
talk about this night. Let's talk
yeah.
about this night. It's 1986, Game 6. It's the Buckner game. Everybody knows the
Yep.
Buckner game. By the way, I think I have friends who tell me that Mookie beats out the hit, that he beats out the roller, even if Buckner fields it
Well,
clean.
nobody. I mean, I don't believe. I mean, I've God knows I don't even want to know how many times I watched the replay in my life, but I don't think Stanley gets to first base. I think whoever told you that is probably right. The real problem in that game was that they left. Calvin Schiraldi was out there in a state of catatonic shock, and they left him in there for about three batters too long. But throwing incredibly straight and incredibly slow fastballs. Uh,
Slow balls.
but yeah, I mean, it was. I mean, it began as it was a miserable night. First of all, it was October and it was raw,
Were
and
you in the
uh,
auxiliary press box or were
I
you
was in the aux
inside?
box on the in what apparently was ordinarily a luxury box down the third baseline,
There
right
wasn't
in the
much
corner.
luxury at Shea Stadium. I know that.
Oh well, Fenway, you're in right field in the right field bleachers. You're not even indoors. This
Oh,
is
I
this is
sat
in
out there. I sat in Fenway out there for a World Series, and I had the fans around me chant Media sucks" throughout the game as I was trying to
yeah, the
write.
right field bleachers in Fenway were a lot nicer when it was just gamblers.
All right, well,
Now
let's get back to Shea. Let's get back to
all right,
Shea.
well,
The Red Sox
all
are on
right.
the verge of ending this curse, and there's a slow roar to Bill
Well,
Buckner. You already have things written.
it goes long before that. There's a prologue to the story
All right.
in the American League Championship Series in Game 5. The Red Sox are losing uh, to the Angels, and a friend of mine he's leaving business after the series. He's leaving the business whenever the baseball season ends, and so the Red Sox are down, a couple of runs, and they're running out of chances, and the Angels are going to win the series. And my friend starts unloading his overloaded briefcase that he probably hasn't cleaned out since 1981, and uh, you know he's throwing away notebooks and media guides and
Marriott
essentially
pens.
he's throwing stuff up in the air. He's already written his lead about how the Red Sox lost the series to the Angels, and then Dave Henderson comes up. They get to one strike away, just as they eventually would in the series, and the Angels do, and then Dave Henderson hits the ball into center field, and the Red Sox eventually lose the game. And my friend starts digging around in the trash can to get all his stuff back. All right, so I've already seen what can happen if you get too cocky with 2 outs and one strike away. So I'm up in the Oggs box, and I've written my at least the top of my Red Sox beat the curse sidebar, and
And this
the
is
other
for
sidebar
this
will
is for the Boston Herald, right? This is when
right.
you're at
This
the
is when
Herald.
I was at the
Yeah.
Herald, exactly, and before I started writing columns there, and so I had done that, and my other sidebar was going to be Dave Henderson because if you'll recall, he hit a home run that put the Reds. He hit a home run in extra innings that put the Red Sox ahead, and then Marty Barrett got an RBI, and they were up by two going into the fateful Buckner inning, and so I was going to write about Dave Henderson in this extraordinarily. I had a reasonably good relationship with him, and he's had this incredible postseason where they're going to be putting a statue to him, up in outside of Fenway because he won the Angel series for him, and now he's won the World Series for them. So I got everything planned out. I've written a huge chunk of Dave Henderson bio. I've got my beat the curse lead, probably 5 paragraphs. It's all done, and then all, and then it all happens, and I wind up going down to the bowels of the stadium as you do in big events like that to, just so you get in the locker room, you won't get tied up in the elevator for an hour and a half or whatever. And so I'm in the hallway outside the Mets or the Red Sox clubhouse, and stuff starts happening outside, and you start hearing cheering, and I can't remember who it was had a transistor radio, and they had it onto the broadcast of the game.
Well, wait a minute,
And
transistor radio in
yeah,
1986. I love it.
yeah, I mean, I don't know if he was expecting, we were all going to have, a power outage or something, and we are all going to need a crystal set or something, but he had it. I can't remember who it was, and we were listening to it, and then all of a sudden, this battalion of riot police comes tromping down at double quick down the passageway towards the field. And now we're figuring, hey, what the hell's going on out there? And that was the way I heard the Stanley Wild pitch and the Mookie grounder. And as I was listening to the radio, the people came in, some attendants came in and rolled the champagne out of the Red Sox locker room, and then collected all the World Championship T-shirts and put them in a bag and rolled them out of the Red Sox.
Wow.
And
so you
and,
didn't actually you didn't actually see it, the ball go through.
No, I didn't see. In fact, I didn't see the Stanley Wild pitch that set up the eventual disaster for a week after the World Series was over. The next day was supposed to be Game 7. It got rained out. So we had an entire day to do nothing but think about Game 6. So we all went to Runyon's to think about it. And
of course,
then just as a sidelight, my friend Mike Madden, the late Mike Madden, who used to write for the Boston Globe, and Madden was a real horse player. And so we were watching the races from, I think, Aqueduct at that point. And Randy Galloway, that scamp from Texas, decided we should all, start gambling on the races we were watching. And it took Madden and I like a half an hour to realize that they don't run on Sunday in New York, and that Galloway had been past posting us on Saturday's races and had taken us for, I don't even know how much money at that point.
Take us back to Shea. You're down there outside the clubhouse. The Red Sox blow this game in horrific fashion, and now you have to go into the Boston clubhouse. What was it like in there?
Oh, well, it was in shock. Like I said, Calvin Schiraldi was catatonic. I mean, I sat there with about 5 other people, or, and then eventually about 40 other people, around him, and he was staring, at something, 25 or 30 feet away that only he could see. And then, I don't know who it was, went over and told Oil Can Boyd, whose turn it would be to pitch in the 7th game, that Bruce Hurst was going to pitch in the 7th game. And Oil Can went into hysterics. I mean, sobbing and screaming and crying. So it was extraordinarily strange. And, eventually I wound up, leaving the locker room and going to the interview room.
Did Buckner talk at his locker?
Boy, eventually, yeah. I know they didn't bring him out, to the interview room. They brought the managers, and I think Marty Barrett came out, because Marty Barrett or Bruce Hurst, probably Marty Barrett would have been the MVP of that series. Hit .414 in the World Series, and would have, hit, one of the insurance runs in what would have been the deciding game. At this point, I was robotic, and the only thing I had in my mind was that I had to get upstairs and somehow make sense out of this in 15 minutes. And so I went up, once again, I went to the elevator, went upstairs, sat down, erased, all of my my previous work, and just turned off, most of the circuitry in my brain and just wrote, and then the lights went out in the stadium and I didn't even notice. The Red Sox traveling secretary, somebody had hung around in Shea after the game and thrown a bottle into the darkness and hit the Red Sox traveling secretary in the head.
Really?
And I didn't even know that. I didn't know that for another week because I was so focused on getting words into the little telegram and praying that the telegram would work. And then, I to this day, I don't remember what I wrote. I really don't. I mean, I assume it was coherent and people seemed to enjoy it, but it was. I've never been on complete automatic pilot like that before or since. I mean, it was appalling and wonderful and an experience I've dined out on, ever since then. But boy, at the moment, it was something I would never want to go through again.